Hey everyone, it is Shanda, and you are tuned in to the Labors of Love podcast with my amazing co-host, Heddy Nam. What's up, Heddy?
Hi, Shonda. Hey, everyone.
Oh my God, y'all, this feels so familiar and foreign at the exact same time. It's such a wild experience right now. We have not recorded a podcast episode in about 13 months. I think it was June of 2025. And oh my goodness, so much life transition and integration has happened for me. Hetty, I am sure the same for you. And so, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I have committed to my surrender practice of being only with what's right in front of me at the moment. And at some point, what came in front of me is, oh my God, I miss Hetty and I want to record. Like I want to update folks. And so here we are. Um, Welcome back, Hetty.
Welcome back, Shonda. Yeah, when you reached out, I think I had just gotten back from traveling, or it was during my trip, and I think I saw it like maybe a few days later than you had sent it, and it just felt so right in my body. And so I think it was just meant to be. The timing synced up.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, um, it feels very true in my body to be able to say, even at the beginning of this episode, which depending on how long we talk, could be a part one and part two. We have no idea. But I do feel very confident in saying this is the last Labors of Love podcast episode that we're going to record. And I'm going to just sit and let my body feel that. Now, what that doesn't mean is that we're done recording.
Mhm.
It just means this is the last Labors of Love podcast episode because I am no longer living in Labors of Love energy. And
Mm.
so this feels like I'm visiting a place that I lived for a long time. Like I lived there for 5 years and maybe I did a sublet at the end. I didn't do it as often. And then, I mean, it's been a whole year. Before that, we had 6 months between episodes as people who would record weekly and do midweek therapy Thursdays. This feels like a homecoming, which is a big theme for me that I'll share later. But um, that feels exciting to be able to know when it's time to go, when it's time to stop, when it's time to move on, but also hold the knowing that what we have is deeper than a particular podcast. We have a relationship, the three of us, Jay, Hetty, and I. And so what that means is we can call it whatever we want to, which is the most accurate language we'll come up with. But what we really will be doing is coming together, but all three of us are in three different spaces. And so it just to me feels integrous to say, even if the three of us come together to continue to co-create beautiful, wonderful things, that when we do it in the honesty of who we are now, it can't be what it was because we're not who we were.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I mean, it feels so familiar and strange at the same time. And I just really appreciate you naming this is the last episode, not because we're not going to be recording the three of us moving forward, but like Labors of Love chapter has ended. And I think there's something in American culture and just capitalism that's so like not able to let go and not let a good thing end. And I feel like we always want peak summer energy throughout our lives for every endeavor and project we're engaged in. And it's like, things need to end. There's cycles to life, and it
Yes.
actually takes energy to wind down. And so I'm so grateful to be recording this episode with you because I mean, you could have also just said, "Hey, I'm not in Labors of Love energy anymore, so we're gonna start our new podcast." But like, it feels good to come
Yeah.
back and put a period on it.
Put some punctuation on this shit. It can even be an exclamation mark. I think what you're naming is exactly what I'm learning is that intentional transitioning
Mm-hmm.
and integration are processes that require intentional pacing. And some things pace faster than others. What I'm coming to realize very recent within the last couple of I live so much outside of time and I for real mean it. But I would say it's fair to say in the last couple of months that feels fair, but maybe even a little long. That I'm like, oh, this is why I highly recommend surrender, kinetic surrender.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about shit. I just trust I trust myself. I
Mm-hmm.
trust the divine that is within me. And so I just live in the moment. And those moments converge to make some amazing stories that I just get to participate for myself and with others. And what I'm just coming to realize is I've always been a person who has valued the ability to take my time in transition. And I
Mm-hmm.
think back to when I was in college, right? So I went to Michigan and the atmosphere, which I say that because I don't think it's Michigan specific. I think it's higher ed specific, but I haven't been to a lot of other campuses, right? To know this, but it gets real. The culture is so crazy. I can feel the energy of walking through campus. And what I notice is like everyone is going somewhere that they have to be at now.
Mm-hmm.
So head down. This is in an age and era. We're talking 20 some years ago where there weren't cell phones like that. So right now I know it looks different. Everyone is headed into a screen as they cross the street, which is wildly dangerous in my opinion. But okay, back then there weren't cell phones, but there was just no gaze, heads down, plowed going to the next place. And I was the person who I wasn't rushing to get to class because I gave myself enough transition time to notice the changing colors in the fall and in the spring to do. And I had a friend who he would laugh at me and be like, Shonda's gonna stop and smell the flowers. I am. Thank you. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I find belonging in my own story, if I suspend the narratives that I've attached to the data of my life and just be with the raw data. It's an amazing story. It's so
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's fun. I see it in so many different things. I call it treasure hunting. I done went back to all these memories to get my littles and integrate them into my ecosystem and to heal the trauma and then to see what ancestral patterns were. I did all that shit. Now I'm going back for the treasure. Where's
Mm-hmm.
the treasure? What else have I left behind? So knowing that easeful transitions, when I move from place to place, I don't understand. I think at some point I had an experience where like the day I was moving into something had to be the day I was moving out. And I said, never again. Why would anyone do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like there needs to be overlap. So really, y'all, I am about a year and a half plus into what feels to me fair to say will be about a 2 year transition. I took a year to transition out of
Mm-hmm.
labors of love. And I did that. I feel like I did it with grace. I gave people 6 months to come retrieve anything they wanted to do to work with me. And I shut down. And then, despite the fact that I can point this wisdom out to everybody else, in my mind, I think I was just going to be like, all right. And so now I'm here. No, ma'am. You just walked through a door and closed it. Now you still have to walk before you get to your destination. So I've been, 7+ months into the process of coming home. If people remember, the first name I got for what I will be doing later was called Journey You Home. And I realized at the top of this year, so a year that I said I'm going to shut down, and I retired and I did all that. And then people were still now asking me questions about what was next and how they could still work with me. And at one point, maybe 3 weeks into January, I realized I just never stopped. I just had kept going. I had just kept going. I was going at a different pace. I was calling it a different name. I was trying to articulate something, but what I know is you can't articulate what you ain't integrated. And so, not with integrity, not with integrity. So, I remember the day I literally said, just stop. I said it out loud, just stop. And I did. I just stopped. I'm really good for that. Like, once I recognize that I'm walking down a path that is not my highest fulfillment, I'm real cool to literally just stop. Stop in my tracks. I tell this to couples and relationships all the time. Just stop. Stop. Once you realize you're in the cycle or the pattern, just stop. Breathe,
Mm-hmm.
embody, then make a decision. So in that stop, I realized that I was trying to build what was next and what was energy. And that's foolish. So I just stopped and I allowed myself to recalibrate a bit. That led to things that I would have never seen coming. Okay. That is me going to church and singing in a choir and preaching. What? Because I was so damn done with the church. Y'all get on my nerves. I'm going to go on over here and do it this way. But stopping, recalibrating, allow me to find beloved community, literally beloved community church, but a group of people who are genuinely living out beloved community. Shut up. So D was there, Daniel Lamar. He still talks about the episode that we recorded that ain't none of y'all heard because it was so sacred. Hetty, also, I think that's what's next though. It's
Mm.
those moments. But so I stopped. And that's when I was able to say, hey y'all, and what I meant by I was trying to build it in what was energy was I was still trying to run a business because I
Mm.
hadn't yet realized that what I was being called to is to come home, literally, to myself, to my body, and to my house, to my children, to my family. You know, my son's a junior, my daughters are entering adolescence, they're 10. I've worked with adolescents for almost the last 20 years. You don't think I'm going to give the best that I've been giving everybody else to my babies? So now I had this moment where I did. I said, Daddy, I haven't asked this in a really long time. What is my ministry? How do I define my ministry? And as quick as I asked, it was one word: home. So
Mm.
I have for a few months been like settling and recalibrating to home. And it feels so good. What that also means is that, you know, Jay and we made strong agreements around how we divided labor, how we saw our primary functions. My
Mm.
primary functioning was outside the home. My family shared me with the world, literally shared me with the world. And Jay held down home, not just the house, but the foundation of our family, the nurturing, the care, the provision of everything. And that was our agreements. And now we supported each other in doing that, but we were clear. And now it feels so amazing that I am coming home. And it equally feels amazing that he get to go out there and do whatever he wants to do. Like he made the decision that he was going to put some of the things he wanted to do on hold
Mhm.
so that he could do this. And I love that he's going to be able to go out there and do whatever he wants to do. And he is going to take the full responsibility of financially providing for this family because I'm tired. I am tired to carry a business and a family of five on your back while resisting capitalism. That's some boss ass shit. And I did
Mhm.
it. I did it. I did it for 8 years. And when I sit and look at it saying I was never in the red because what does that mean? You can't spend what you don't have. Right? I never operated with credit. I've always in the black. Like I left with no debt. I squared up every single thing. And so now that we're making this transition, that's integrity to me. So I was primarily responsible for finances. So I'm not handing this transition over to him in a deficit. So I had to make some arrangements to make sure that everything he was inheriting squared out. Even gave us a little space for him to transition. right? For me, that's integrity, just the way I've said, and I will inherit a clean house. And then I will put the systems in place to maintain that. But I'm not going to come in and inherit something and I got to clean it up. And I don't want him to inherit something I made and he got to clean up my messes. But that just requires some strong agreements,
Mm-hmm.
constant communication, and being with what is. We are just so real with each other, you know? And while he can transition pretty quickly, like I know that this time frame, this has been for me. And it feels really good. You know, a year ago, I couldn't have been talking like this. I didn't know this. I had never lived this. The genuine ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it. I've taken my websites off the internet because for why? I had to realize I had lived my life so public. Anybody could have access to me. As soon as I unpublished my websites, I literally felt something release me. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I started to feel a little more just light and spacious. Now, what gets top priority is home. And then with the abundance and the surplus that I have, I'll still journey with people, but people have demonstrated to me that what we're really doing is people get access to me and we figure out what reciprocity looks like. I no longer have a fee that I charge people. I say I'm operating in a relational offering based economy. What is the value you have assigned to it and what are your resources? And let's get creative. This might be what you have today, but if in 3 weeks you find yourself making a decision that you couldn't have made if we hadn't spent the time we spent together, then you can send me another offering. My digital platforms work 24/7, but there's not a fee. What is the value? Now, I need money to buy stuff. If you have the stuff I want, keep your money. So, what does bartering look like? And I've been bold enough to really just take some deep breaths and say, I will create the world that I want to see exist. And I welcome people to join that world if you aligned, but I am not waiting on any system to crumble before I live in the harmony I want to live in. And so for the activists and the movement people, I hope they're moving in alignment with their true purpose and I say kudos and I love it. But over here, I am here to demonstrate you can do it a different way. They told you you got to do it this way and I'm saying you it's a way. I don't do how-tos, I do how-Is. But I've landed in a space where y'all are catching me probably literally within days of making a full energetic transition to having my life back being private,
Mm.
to coming home to myself. And the only people who have constant access to me are the people I choose. And as the people in my house and the select few other people who get that level of access, my phone is on do not disturb at all times. And there are only like 5 people who can get through. That's important because literally I have to practice this freedom. I've been so accessible to so many people my entire since I was like a little kid. So I made it home, y'all. You know, it felt important at some point to be like, it's less about, ooh, what's next? And I'm saying, like, nah, I told y'all I was journeying home and I want y'all to know I made it. And now this is what it looks like right now.
Mm. Wow, you shared so much and just there's so much as always, different circumstances, but so much resonance. Um, and it makes sense that we haven't recorded for 13 months because you said, like you can't share, like you need to integrate first. And the thing is that that integration takes time. And
And
I think
intention.
and intention and it takes a lot of repetition, which is I think something that because it's like a onion or whatever, like you discover some new angle about it as it really seeps into your soul, your nervous system, and all of those things. And, yeah, we just live in this, as you said, like wildly connected digital world. that, I'm glad for it in a lot of ways because we're recording on Zoom, we're connected on WhatsApp, but it's like, this is not natural, people. And it's not natural, like, no big deal. It is a huge deal on
Yeah.
our nervous systems, our hearts, our relationships. And I'm with you of like, the more clear things are of like you and Jay having clear agreements about roles, that's a huge shift in the fact that you and of course you two would do it that way because that's how TJ and I do it too. It's like when you're caring for the relationship and you care about the what you're up to, you're stewarding so many things well, and there's self-love there, love for the partner, and doing what you're up to, like, you know, basically supporting your family and like in thriving. There's a lot to talk about. Those transitions don't come easy, and that's so real. And I feel like a lot of the issues that I've run into personally and that I'm supporting, whether they be friends or family or coaching partners or whatnot, is like we just have really unrealistic expectations of
And no
life
reason.
because of the way that we're shaped with a lot of the conveniences. And I'm finding as I grow older, just more freedom and nourishment in the no and the limitations, even putting limits on myself of like, I'm going to put it on do not dis. I don't need to see every text message that comes through right now because I know there's going to be a time in the day or the week where I'm curious and I'm going to go look at it. So why does it need to be constant? And yeah, just I feel like that makes so much more space for like just the juicy like fullness of life instead of trying to hold on to everything and juggle everything. It's so exhausting and I'm so
Yes.
over it. And I will say one significant thing that happened during this period is, I'm 44 turning 45 and we've been on this journey to conceive for like 4 years and we did all of the things
Mm-hmm.
adopted every attitude supplement practice whatever, and Shanda like held me at the end of last year when I decided we're not going to do IVF because it wasn't right. But when I decided not to do IVF because it just wasn't a good fit for me, there was still a lot of the grief of like, okay, this is not a path to becoming a parent. That part of me that desired to be a parent was like, okay, so then like what else are we gonna do? And it had this kind of like anxiety, urgency around like, and how is this dream gonna like play out? And so, and my body was exhausted. So
Yeah.
I trying to be in self, I was like juggling, okay, like I'm gonna honor that this is my desire and my dream for a long time, and I'm gonna honor like I don't even have the wherewithal to answer that heart's question right now. I'm like, I just need to chill out for a little bit and not think about it. And that was hard. And then earlier this year, we were like, okay, let's get serious about what the other options are, including adoption. And we looked into it very thoughtfully, and then we decided it's not for us. Um, we're just not like we would love to adopt a child. It's different back in the day if like somebody in the community had a baby they wanted to like entrust us with. We would totally do that, but we're like
Yeah.
we don't want to go through the US adoption system. The intentions are good. You should not just give somebody a baby without checking them out, but both of us are kind of done trying to people please. And this is like the ultimate people pleasing assignment of trying to prove through recommendations, your application. They're going to go through everything about you, your finances, your home, your health, all of that, especially because we're a little bit older. And I'm like, even if I have such strong, like, connection to spirit and source and an amazing community and self-love. Like, there's no way that I'm not going to go through moments of feeling inadequate and not good enough. And I'm like, is this how I want to like start my journey to parenthood? And we were really stuck because we're like, we really want to be parents, but the avenues that are available, like they're not us authentically.
Yeah.
And so then we finally decided, like, no, we're not gonna grow our family in this way, which means that we'll never have children of our own. And of course, like all of my health providers who helped me with my fertility journey were like, well, you never know because you're still having periods and TJ's in good health. And I was like, you know what? You're not letting me grieve the loss because
Yeah.
you keep coming back with like, oh, a miracle could
The
happen. You never
possibility.
know. And I was like, I'm so exhausted that
Mm.
yes, if a miracle happens, we'll gladly accept it. But I'm like, I need to actually start shifting to integrating what this time of 4 years of trying to conceive was not a waste of time. I
Yeah.
believe it's part of my life story, but because it didn't result in a pregnancy and a baby being born, I have to now sift through like, what does it mean for my life story?
Yes. Treasure
And I'm like,
hunting.
yeah. And I'm like, in order to go on that treasure hunt, I first need to grieve. And I'm like, everyone just like, let me be sad about this loss that I know no one died and nothing, like, there's no definitive visible loss, but I'm like, it is the loss of a particular kind of dream. And now TJ and I talked about, you know what? We would actually love to be of course, we'll continue to be auntie and uncle to all the kids in our lives, but we would actually love to become foster parents. And that doesn't have an age limit because it's temporary. And then you can do different things like choose different ages. And it's not as they do, you have to go through training and like they do check you out, but it's not to the invasive depth that an adoption process goes
Yeah.
through. And we're like, hey, that sounds really cool. And we don't have to resolve that because being a foster parent is not easy. And we don't want to start the journey being sad about not being able to have our own children. And so we're like, we're just going to give this a lot of space. And when
Yeah.
we know, we know, but like, let's be sad and let's just have fun for the sake of it. Let's enjoy the fact, as sad as it is when we see friends with kids and wanting that wistfulness of like yearning to be a parent. We're like, we have a lot of advantages of not being parents. So it's like, might as well enjoy it and fully grieve. And it's like, could we hold those two experiences at the same time instead of the sadness blocking out the joy or the joy of not having to care for little ones blocking out like, oh, you should be grateful, you don't have to get up early and blah blah blah. We're like, just let each thing be and then we'll see where things go. And so we've been very different circumstances, Shonda, but in our household, we've been going through huge shifts and saying, like, no, we're not doing anything we don't want to do. And even if it's a part of us saying, I really want a baby, I'm like, you cannot oppress me into doing an adoption process that I don't want to do. It just doesn't feel right. And I can't justify the means anymore. I can't be like, oh, I might get a baby, so let me put myself through a year of suffering. I don't want it, so I'm just not going to do it. And
Yeah.
that's the way that it's going over here. So we're
I
we're so on the
it,
same
it
wavelength.
we have such parallel journeys, and I thank you so much for always being so open about the journey you've been taking to conceive. I just know that even just from conversations I've had from some people that, you told some truths that can really help make some people free if they allow it. And, when Jay adopted Emmanuel
Hmm.
legally,
Hmm.
you're right with the word invasive. It was such an invasive process. were, yeah, in our home and our business and our money and our all the things. And this is someone who by marriage was already living in the house with, and so I love the freedom of being at choice. And as we talk about integration, I'm in the middle of this evolution of understanding integration. I used to think about integration as a either you are or you aren't. Like I'm disintegrated or I want to be more integrated. But I did a photo shoot on Juneteenth. It was absolutely amazing. Shout out to Kiki Smith Photography, who helps me bring two visions to fruition. And after I got the proofs back and I'm looking at them, all these pictures, I'm like, oh my God, my parts had a photo shoot. There are 13 pictures that clearly identify various parts of myself. Now, I narrowed down 220 pictures to 25. It took over an hour because I have a relationship with storytelling through photography. And so for all 220 pictures that she took, they each were telling the truth because they were each me. And
Mhm.
so Jay and Kiki were just so supportive in helping me distill and for people to understand, like, it's not about finding the top 25 pictures. It is
Mhm.
honoring the story that these pictures tell in its most authentic way. So I saw 220 pictures to a slideshow the first time, and then we went through each one. I had a relationship with each one of those pictures. Everyone told a story of me, so I had to get clear. And so after I was reviewing the proofs, I'm like, oh my God, I can see the various parts of me. Now I realize that for me, integration is not about everybody is integrated. Everybody's integrated. What parts of yourself are you integrated with? And so I go, well, if that's it, how do I define it? And for me, I'm integrated with the parts of me that I have access to at all times and who has access to the body at all times. So once I went through this process, I put those pictures together in a collage with each of the names that they had identified to me. And I declared the version of me you get is the one you elicit because
Mm.
I've done all the trauma work. I've left no stone unturned. These are not trauma responses. I am no longer creating a narrative and then trying to play it out. Oh, this person responded this way and I know their story. I'm done laboring. So, whatever version of me you get is the one that you elicited, and I trust it. I
Mm.
trusted. Had a situation where I responded to someone in a way that was slightly confusing, but like I trust the part of me that stood up and said, this is the message that needs to be said. And that is a type that helped me go from, so, we talk about moving from doing to being. Most people are functioning like human doings, and we're like, you gotta be. And baby, I mastered being, and I thought that was it. And then for me, I realized, no, there's more. For me, the next level is existing. There is a way for me that being grounded me. But now I'm starting to see that there's a little something else, and I've been able to call it existing. It's when being is effortless. It's
Mhm.
just the state of existing. And what the photo shoot helped me to do, particularly the second part, artist El Marie got a portion of that photo shoot to execute her vision. And part of that vision was to represent that my art is a reflection of me and I am a reflection of my art. So I have a picture of me in front of a mirror, and then I have a picture of me in front of a blank canvas. And then I have pictures of me making marks on the canvas, but then I have pictures of me making marks on myself. And it is this beautiful series of pictures, but all I'm wearing during the entire photo shoot is a white apron, just existing in a body that for the vast majority of my life, I was trying to change. I was trying not to hate. I was trying to navigate this thing. So to go from grad school when a friend who's also been on a friendversary years ago, Vicky, my Irish love, reminded me that there was a time in grad school where I took a deep breath and disclosed to the people in my group that I carried so much shame that I didn't show my arms. And so I would always wear a shirt or a jacket to conceal my arms. And when I asked her, did she remember that when I showed her my photos, she's like, I remember it clearly. You took a deep breath and then you took off your jacket. Shonda gonna do the work.
Yeah.
Tell me a truth, I'm gonna go for that truth. Okay. And so I took my jacket off all the way to saying, now you got your ass out in front of a window, being photographed, and I can look upon those pictures and I feel shameless. Like when I go floating in water, what I really, really love about it is the weightlessness. As a person who's big, my body is big, my personality is big, my spirit is big, my shine is big. I'm just big. I'm heavy. But when I get in water and when I parasail, like those are the two places where my weight, like what supports me is so sufficient and abundant that my weight doesn't matter. I become weightless. So I was able to look at those pictures of me as art, to actually see my body as art.
Mm,
And then to just and to shame has been a companion for so long, but to feel no shame when looking at my body, knowing that other people will actually see it too, was like, oh, nah, this is not being, I bead a lot. No, this is just existing. And when
mhm.
I exist, I can allow other people to exist. And so now that I'm existing and I'm gonna let you exist, and then we exist with people we compatible with, and where there's a lack of compatibility, we shore it up with agreements. Baby, welcome home.
Mm. Wow. I'm getting chills because the transformation you've gone through in one lifetime, not even a whole lifetime, because we're only in our 40s. So to go through, when did you go to grad school? 20s?
I actually didn't start
30.
grad school until my 30s.
Okay.
It was 10
So
years after, so maybe 32.
okay, so it's been like 10 years from covering up your arms to
Yeah,
doing a photo shoot. That is like astronomical
yeah.
speed. And it's so funny. Like there's so much in this world that tries to sell you that of like new you, but it's like, how did you get there? You just slowed down and you were being, right? And there was no, you didn't know 10 years ago when you started that journey that you would end up here,
No.
you know? And that's why it's your thing is kinetic surrender
Listen,
because
kinetic surrender,
you
and that's an
can't
asterisk.
force it.
You cannot. And I want to point this point out, right? So, um, I got a business mentor. Actually, I got three business mentors back in 2018. Two of them end up falling off, but I had one consistent one, Bob. He was with me through the end until I retired. Um, and I remember one of our first meetings. It's one of them typical questions. It was through SCORE, and I think SCORE is probably a national thing
Yeah, yeah.
through the Department of Commerce. Often retired business people who volunteer their time to support other small business owners or whatever. So this was presented to me. Somebody told me about the resource. I jumped on it. And I remember Bob asking me where I saw my business in 5 to 10 years. And I laughed at him. Sir, I can't do that yet.
Mhm.
When survival and imagination compete, survival wins. So I don't have that capacity right now.
Say that again.
Whatever. And so I understand, but for me, I was always a cash-based business. I did not take insurance, but I did not take out credit. Like I just what came in is what sustained it. All the things. So, um, as time continues to go, he respect, like he always respected me for who I was, but there would be times where he would kind of check in on my imagination, like, can you forecast further? What do you see? And
Mhm.
that allowed me, I never got to the point where I cared about turning that into a business plan, but I can tell you what I'm evolving towards, the truth, the truth that I'm seeking, the truth that I'm chasing. And what I realized is if I had decided that I was just going to ignore my values and be like, oh, well, they're the mentors and they know, no, I need you to mentor me where I'm at. If I had not
Mhm.
done that, then I would have made a 10-year plan for a business that I retired 8 years into.
Mhm.
So what difference would it have made if I would have made a 10-year plan when 8 years after I decided I was done? It can be that free, y'all. Because
Hmm.
if making the plans and doing it that way actually worked, y'all wouldn't be struggling. Y'all wouldn't be chasing every other thing. So all I'm saying is, and that's not a judgment, but it's saying, like, why not try to just do it in your nature?
Hmm.
Why not come home to yourself and be who you were created to be, created as part of a very intricate aligned plan that all you honestly got to do is be yourself and be yourself and honest and create strong relationships, and then those relationships take care of each other. And so, yeah, the evolutions are possible. And thank you for, because what I'm also getting to is I'm in a nice, lovely space of reflection.
Hmm.
Because regardless of my ability to explicitly state my values, capitalism was given in every drink and every breath that I is consumed too. So this go. I might have had different values, but I was still going and going. And you just move to the next. So I had to be able to take some time to look at that transformation and that evolution. And I'm able to do that by people who hold a mirror in front of me, who retell me my story like you did, like Vicky does, like the people who really love me do. It's sometimes they'll do what I've done for countless people. It's sometimes they get to a point and I gotta remind you of your story because you sitting here thinking this is just this. So many people forever think they're at the beginning of their journey. you know? And so thank you. Thank you for that because I think my ultimate goal I decided when I was in Mexico a couple in 2023 was that was when I wore my back out in that swimsuit and I was really trying to come home to my body. I
Hmm.
decided that there was a place I was trying to go in freedom within my body, and I decided that I would know when I got there, when I had a naked photo shoot on the beach, painting on a canvas. And then I said, that's where I'm going. And so then I said, now I can just pull back and say, what's the next practical step? Right? The next practical step. I thought maybe it would be getting together with people I really trust and skinny dipping. Maybe it was going to a nude beach where other people, and I thought, because again, I was trying to, well, girl, just sit your ass down and just be. And it turned out to be that one next step was this photo shoot for a portion of it. So, kinetic surrender continues to be my life, but it is no longer a business I'm trying to sell.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
no longer a program. What I'm saying is I'm over here living this life over here. And if we've been connected before, because that is a requirement, no new people. My bad, sorry. I gotta know that you come with a basic foundation of being able to regulate yourself, tap into your own story, know what the hell littles are. I ain't teaching nobody. I'm more in auntie grandma stage right now. I done mothered more people than I can count. Now I just want to dispense my wisdom. So if you trying to be free and you want to walk alongside me, let's do it. And we figure out what reciprocity looks like.
Hmm.
Um, but that is the update that I can give. Some examples. And I mean, I'm working, like I'm connecting across the globe, Denmark, Japan, Africa. I want to be specific to the country, but I really did forget. South America throughout. So as I'm just being in this, like I had one person I'm journeying with, and during our journey, our agreement was that I would come into their home so that they could get a handle on their physical environment. We journeyed together for 6 months, and within that 6 months, I got a text. And she said, it's funny, when I started journeying with you, I was trying to get a handle on my physical environment, but it's through journeying that I learned I need a new environment. So they buying a new house.
Hmm.
That's the kind of freedom I'm talking about. Not
Yeah.
trying to make something work that worked 16 years ago when you're a totally different person. The freedom to
Yes.
say we can pull back all the narratives around success and failure and what you're supposed to do. And we can breathe, we can slow down, and we can say, if you want me to help you make this more functional, we can. You're going to need some strong agreements with yourself, with the environment, with your family. And what it would have taken to maintain that in a good way could just be solved by going somewhere that works.
Hmm.
Yes. Thank you. It's the people when I get the messages from separate people saying, we ain't together no more. That's a victory just as much as people when I get the
Mm,
messages that say we've worked it out, baby. My agreements were clear in every consultation call. I do not see it as my job to save your relationship. What I see it as is to help you all become the most authentic versions of yourselves. And from there, you make a decision about your relationship. And so there's just so much freedom that's been happening. That's when I said, I'm living off my harvest. They're my harvest.
mm,
Like I've watered and planted so many seeds. I'm ready for, and that's what's happening. The people who I did work with before, now they in different places doing different things. Maybe they want to go further, and so they work with me in that way. But they outlive in their life, and they say, "Now, will you come help me do this?"
mhm.
Yeah. So I don't need a website. I don't need nobody to find me.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you know, you know. If you missed it, sorry. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you, but and so that's happening. And so the I've been calling myself a stay-at-home multi-hyphenate.
I
My,
love
what I
that.
mean? Yeah.
I love that. And the you said before, just existing, and I'm closing my eyes because I'm like feeling the easefulness in that. Because shifting from the human doing, like it actually takes work. It takes a lot of
Too much
mental
effort.
effort to like pause and be like, oh, I'm just in like automatic mode. And so,
Yeah.
yes, there is that. And then enough repetition, you don't have to put as much effort into it. Like the pause becomes natural, then you're deepening from like, okay, I'm shifting from the human doing to being to now it's like I don't even have to effort to
Effort to
be.
be.
And then you said that you existing allows other people to exist. And that's like, I've been totally anchored on that truth of like, I know that the parts of me that love people and this world, it's like, I just want the best for them. But it's like, there's this caregiving part that's like, but I know what's best. I don't want them to feel like any pain. And I just want like so just like do what I say, don't be stupid kind of thing. And it's like, first of all, you're not responsible for anyone other than yourself. Even the people who like are so you met like your spouse, your children, they're still their own sovereign
Yeah.
beings. It doesn't mean don't care about them, but it's like
Right.
that caregiving part that's like, I know best. And if I do this, they'll turn into this.
Mm.
No, that is their load to carry. It's not your load. And when I shifted my energy to um, like I had a lot of experiences where I would feel things. Like first, I was totally disassociated and I couldn't feel my feelings. Then I would start feeling my feelings after a little bit of therapy and like somatic work. And then I'm like, is this right? Like, why am I pissed off? Or why am I happy? Why am I annoyed? And then like, is this right? Is this socially right for this context? And if I felt like my emotion didn't fit, it was inappropriate, it was inconvenient to
Mm.
continuing that situation or relationship as it was before, I would struggle to express it, be like, should I say anything? And if I did, how, like so much extra effort goes in. And then I never got to what I want. And so the my 40s has been like, okay, whatever I feel, no matter what everyone else is thinking or feeling, I believe myself. I don't gaslight myself
Mm.
because there's a reason I'm feeling and thinking these things that are unique to my history and my journey on earth. So if I'm pissed while someone else is happy, like that's me. I gotta believe me. And then from there, what do I actually think of this situation? I always am committed to just saying exactly what I think. Now, I do have agreements with myself of like, one, is it true? Let me discern what I really think. Two, is it necessary to say because sometimes shit is true and I don't need to waste my energy like saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And then third, I do have a value of kindness. So I'm like, how can I say it the most kind as I can, but not the if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything kind of. I'm like, I'm gonna still say the what, even if it might not be welcome, but I'm like, I'm still gonna effort to like say it nice, say it warmly, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dilute the thing that I'm trying to say. And then I'm always gonna do what I want. Ergo, I don't want to do the adoption application. So I'm sorry, like to myself, that I would love to have a baby if someone gave a baby to us. That's not the issue, but I'm not doing what I don't want anymore. And doing that over and over, first of all, that was like the scariest thing to do because in this society, it's like, who am I if I'm not a people pleaser and making sure everyone's good with me instead of starting from the inside? But doing that over and over again, it's like made me just a better spouse and family member and friend and coach and all these things because I actually listen to people. They'll vent and they'll blow past their feelings. And then after they vent, they're like, yeah, and so what should I do? And they want to keep things the same. And I'm like, I just heard that this person's like really pissing you off. Can we just like honor that for a second? I'm not saying leave them or go tell
Yeah.
them to fuck off, but I'm like, I just want you to believe what you feel instead of being scared that your feelings are gonna create some weird situation
Oh
for
my God. And so much of the vision, the image that came to me as you've been talking is, if have you ever been walking down a steep hill and gravity is trying to make you go fast, but you
you.
are trying, right? So when we work out with Fairbanks, it's all about functional movement. And this is what's so funny. Fairbanks was my first friend cast way back season one. Like, we ride hard and we continue to evolve. And I love that we've reconnected. He's still our personal trainer, but today we decided we were just gonna go kick it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And in some ways, like you said, like, we don't necessarily have the language for it, but we were clear, like old times, but not. Like,
Mhm.
we want to connect, like let's give it a shot to get a little closer connected like we used to be, but like as we are now. And it was
Mhm.
this beautiful, amazing experience. Like, he drove me past this place that I used to live in my last lifetime. And I'm like, oh my God, just to be able to go through that story with him. He was able to go through story. But what's so funny about it is, so we're gonna go eat. But before we go eat, it's like downtown. So we just kind of walk around for a little bit. It's a beautiful weather day. We get to the restaurant, it's good. We yum, yum, yum. And then we're just gonna go, and then we were gonna go sit in the park. And I'm big on agreement. So we about to get out the truck and I said, wait, what you trying to do? You trying to walk or you trying to sit? And I said, I'm asking because depending on, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to bring this heavy water bottle in this purse. And he was like, no, I'm trying to sit. So, but when we got to the place where we are going to sit, the pond water did smell pretty bad. So he like, no, I can't sit here. The funny thing is we end up walking 2.2 miles. And I start to hit it when I'm looking, and there's just a steady incline in front of me. And I said, homie, how we end up on a walk? And he is like, oh, my bad. So anyway, I stayed at my knee and I'm like, I'm not going up there. And he's like, all right, you want to go back the way we came? And I'm like, yeah. So we get back, pedometer. I didn't walk 2.2 miles. But at the end of the day, I said, but when you with a trainer, you with a trainer. And
Mhm.
like, it was not his intention, but what it also felt like is, so my girls have been taking Taekwondo for almost a year, and I'm not doing the physical movements, but I am getting so much from Taekwondo. I love Master Kim and just his genuine isness and how he can have an adult my age and a 5-year-old in the same class and still make everyone feel seen, heard, empowered, but also saying, be more disciplined. It's amazing. And one of the biggest things that stuck out to me is when my girls start, they start as this white belt, and every time you master a technique, you get a tip. with a tape. And once you have all six of your tips, you are ready to test. And I remember the very first time I was extremely nervous on behalf of my children. I am not always at Taekwondo practice. I know they don't necessarily do it at home. I don't know. I'm like, genuinely, are they going to pass this test? I don't know the commitment, dedication, skill level that they've been doing it. But Master Kim would always say, like, to the parents, if they have their tips, they're ready to test. So, all right, they had all their tips. You pay the testing fee, you come. And what I learned, it was an amazing experience. One, you have all the parents and family and everything that's there, and you have every kid who's testing. But see, we've been indoctrinated into a system where the test is the moment that proves whether you move forward or not. Third grade guarantee. All of my children have in some way had anxiety about this test for an 8 or 9 year old that they hinge so much on, right? So it's with that energy that I went in. But what I realized is testing wasn't whether or not you move forward, testing was the demonstration. So the testing was all of these young people just being able to demonstrate to the people they love, here's what I've learned. I understood why the tone of Master Kim's voice was always clear. If they have their tips, they're ready to test. It
Mm-hmm.
told me that I could trust him because, and that reinforced what I know is that the real growth happens in practice. So when
Mm-hmm.
people like, I feel like I'm being tested, then demonstrate, baby. Quit
Mm-hmm.
trying to pass and just demonstrate. And
Yeah.
so now I know that the emphasis is on practice. And if they keep doing what they doing, and I trust Master Kim that when he say they ready to test, then it has already been decided they are good to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
They get to show themselves and they get to show others. And so there is a way that we can move throughout life when we have tests and
Mm-hmm.
trials,
Right.
that we don't have to look at them as evaluative tools, but we can recognize that we wouldn't be being tested on something we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you are doing what you say you're doing, if
Mm-hmm.
you are who you say you are. Now, if you a poser, you a liar, you out here make believe, and I don't know what to tell you. But those of us who are truly doing what we say we're doing, it is absolute time for us to stay in awe, but get out of surprise. Like, stop
Mm-hmm.
being surprised that you have more space. Stop being surprised that you feel more regulated. Like, at this point, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
If this wasn't it, then what the fuck have we been doing? I did not dedicate myself to an 8 year career for people to be surprised that they healed. I told you
Mm-hmm.
I was a healer. I told you you was a healer. I told you the body heals itself. I told you that connect to your source and it is done. Like when I say I'm a healer, that's the other thing too. What I'm clear is not for you, for me. I say I'm a healer because I keep on healing. That don't mean I'm gonna heal you, but I can tell you how I've been healing me
Yep.
because you are as much of a healer as I am
Because you're journeying them home.
to
Healers are
themselves.
not people who like do some kind of intervention to make you feel better because we're all alive, right? So we're like converting oxygen and light and food into blood and we have energy. Like if you're alive, you know how to heal. Now you might be conditioned to do practices all throughout the day that bring you in the opposite direction. And so when you're journeying someone home, it's like you know because you are healing, you healed yourself, you're on that journey, and you let other people in who help you on your own healing journey. But I'm always like, I was scared to say I was a healer because I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of responsibility. And I don't know if I'm like a snake, gonna be like a snake oil salesman of promise. I don't want to promise someone a result that they're not gonna get. And it's like, no, just healing is just showing up. One of my meditation teachers said to heal is to touch with love that which was previously touched with fear.
You've said that
And so
before.
it's just showing up. And the thing is like, you're alive, you know how to heal. That's literally built in, and then us being like, yo, we're just existing. We believe ourselves, do what we're doing what we want. And this is not a recipe for societal chaos and hedonism because look at what we've been talking about. You've been talking about agreements, values, ethics. The thing is that we're not going to force ourselves to do like to perform some shit, but it doesn't mean that we don't have love and values and ethics about it. It's like be thoughtful about how you're going to do it. I'm like, I'm always going to do what I want. I will not do it in a way that's actively trying to cause harm to other people, but I'm not going to do stuff that you want me to do that I don't want to do because that's not what life is about.
Hey, y'all. Listen, the conversation you were just listening to goes on for another 45 minutes or so. So we've decided to break it into a part one and a part two. It is so good to be back with y'all in this capacity. So I just wanted to say if you want to reach out to us, all of our current Labors of Love podcast social media is still active. Feel free to hit us up on our Instagram. I think we have a Facebook, maybe. But listen, if you reach out, we'll be paying attention. Until part two, y'all be well.